This
Hey
is
guys, it's honest as fuck. We got your girl Jazzy Sizzle, your boy TJ, and me, Jen from the block. I'm gonna turn it over to Jazzy, who's gonna introduce our this week's topic. Um, Go right ahead.
okay. So we are talking about stimulus. We're talking about unemployment. We're going to talk about broke lovers. But first, before we start talking about being broke, how do you guys feel about the stimulus check? That's the second round of stimulus checks that are coming around. This is the first time that the Republican Party and Democrat Party agreed for a second round of stimulus checks in the amount of $1,200. What are your thoughts?
Oh, snaps. I mean, finally, I've been hearing about this for like months now, so I was like, hey, it's before Christmas time. So, you know what? That's a shocker right there.
Um, I feel that it should have been a monthly round of stimulus checks. Why did it have to take 4 months for Congress to decide and Senate to try to pass this second round of stimulus checks when you have Canada, where all the residents of Canada are receiving $2,000 a month? All these people internationally are receiving up to $4,000 a month in different countries. Why is it America is supposed to be one of these greatest countries, and we have to debate for 4 months after giving a first round of stimulus check, which a lot of people still haven't received? We have to debate for 4 months uh, for another round of 12, for $1,200. It's kind of ridiculous. So look at it as a total of $2,400 in a matter of what is it, 4 or 5 months for a single person, and people with kids who get, what is it, extra 500 per kid.
Sounds about right. Yeah, like an extra five or so for each kid.
Right? So what the hell is that gonna do? Some people's rent costs more than $1,200. So America is trying, is it's viewed as this great country worldwide, nationwide, and it's like, okay, so we're so great that we have to hesitate and debate 4 months to fight for the second stimulus check.
Get out. Get out.
Yeah.
Eh,
So
well, even a little bit of technical difficulty, that's still all right. What I just wanted to say though was, well, yes, you are right. Other countries, they are getting paid, monthly a lot more. There's a few things you got to put into consideration. You got the US population versus other countries. You got how many people are unemployed as opposed to other countries. But the main thing what people are kind of forgetting is, yes, while that stimulus check is great, who it really was supposed to help is those who are unemployed, which are still getting the extra 600 a week. So while 1,200 a month would sound great and fine and dandy, especially for those who aren't getting unemployment, each week, it mainly was meant for, hey, let's give a handout first, but then they said we're going to give you payments weekly. So that is who they were, trying to help out. So while I kind of too, what that might know, like I'm not getting the 600 a week, and I would love 1,200 a month. I kind of do understand where they were coming from, where they're like, hey, look, let's debate it over first. We really just want to get everybody back on track.
right. I mean, I never really looked at it that way, Thomas, where the stimulus check, I mean, they were hesitant because it's going to everyone, whether or not you're working. And like you said, that the people on unemployment, they already got their handouts for these past 3-4 months, where they got an extra $600 a week, which is ultimately what, $2,400 extra, 2,400 a month. And
You're
it's
thinking
for,
about the ones without kids.
wait, so if you have kids, you're getting more than $600 a week?
No. I mean, like we're saying, like 600 a week plus 1,200, but you have some people unemployed with kids, so they're getting
Right.
600 plus the
Yeah, but it's
1,200.
$500 per kid up to what, 2 or 3 kids?
Yeah, I think it was like something like it's something like that, like up to 3 kids. So I mean, if anything, that stimulus should go to the people who aren't getting the unemployment, because how much more handouts do you want? And once again, we could debate, everyone has a different situation, but if you need that much help now, before the stimulus checks and the unemployment, how were you managing then?
There was
Right.
people living check by check, literally check by check, cent by cent. You know, there are a lot of parents out there, a lot of single people out there that if they even spend an extra $20 on something that they, you know, that they want that month or they need that month, they may not even make rent. And this is before stimulus checks, you know. There's people who were barely making it before the economy, and they're hardly making it now. I mean, they're probably better off now because they're getting the you know, the $600 a month. So
Mm-hmm.
if most of these people, I want to say a lot of these people were probably
Mm-hmm.
struggling before.
Right.
Hopefully they're smart enough to use their excess money and save. You
And
know what I'm
that's the
saying?
issue
Or pay
because
off
what we're
credit cards or bills or whatever the case may be. I mean, there's some people who are saving it, and there's some people who are like me. I'm trying to pay off a credit card. So when that $600 check comes in, I'm putting most of it to a credit card.
which is still somewhat similar to savings because it's still money going towards, which is smart. But what a lot of people too have to still think about is now, since we're so used to getting this extra amount, the moment we try cutting it off, no, 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 don't cut it off. I don't want to cut it off. Now we're causing a bigger problem because we cut it off. You were able to do it before. Why you have to stop for it?
Can I
We're
ask you
gonna.
a, can I ask you a question? I'm so sorry to interrupt. Do you think that this act or these acts that the Congress is passing, is it to also benefit the rich? Because I also heard that through the CARES Act, each each millionaire got $1.6 million stimulus check. Did you guys hear that? It was on
Mm-hmm.
the New York Post. It was in a couple of news sources
Yeah.
that they benefit. There was a loophole somewhere because, you know, they have a CARES Act, right? Jen, and each bill has a section that explains everything with bullet points that, you know, they need to follow. And apparently there was a loophole where it got millionaires a really big fat check.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
who's the owner of Amazon? Because they said Amazon, the owner of Amazon, he's making a shit ton right now during the pandemic, and they're like, well, that's not fair because the whole point of this whole pandemics and stimulus, like the stimulus during the pandemic, is to help those in need. But if the rich are still getting richer, who are we really helping?
I mean, you can't blame Amazon that they're one of the convenient businesses right now, right? Because we're ordering everything online. We're even ordering groceries online. Like, I can't blame Amazon. But what I will say, I think Amazon should have a social responsibility in giving back to the community if they're making so much, you know, excess income because
Oh
of
yeah,
the
free shipping.
coronavirus. Free shipping, and I'm pretty sure if we did some research that they're contributing, I will hope that they're contributing some way, donating food, donating things.
That they use as a tax write-off. Like it's
Right.
it's pretty much like definitely see where you're coming from, but I'm not gonna call bullshit. I'm gonna call bullshit where it is. The rich are still getting richer. What's
Of
happening
course.
is we're creating bad habits among ourselves because now it's like we're so used to having these extra funds. Once we don't once it ends, we're either not gonna know how to save and we're gonna go right back to spending habits, or we're so used to having access money, we're going to be spending money we don't have, going to start opening up credit cards because things are now becoming more easier. Like now you're more likely to get approved for a house, more likely to get approved for a loan for a car because all businesses are failing. So they're going to work ways around it. The stimulus check, for what it's supposed to do, yes, it's supposed to help us catch up on stuff, but that's because the millionaires, they don't want to lose money. So that's why, like, if you really wanted to help people out, all you had to do is push debts till the end of the year. Just say, look, we're not going to raise the incomes. Things are looking bad now. So, like, if you have rent or whatever, I'm not going to combine it for you. I'm just going to hold it off till things slow down.
Do you
But
think do you think people are ready to get, so you know, they froze eviction till August 20th, right? So nobody can get evicted in New York State until August 20th. That's when the courts are scheduled to open. That's when they're like resuming everything in the court process regarding, rent. Do you think we're ready for that?
No, and hold on, because this is what people aren't noticing. So say if my rent was $800 a month, you can't evict me, but if I don't pay it, guess what happens next month? Instead of owing 800, I owe 1600. I don't pay next month. Instead of 1600, I owe 24. You can't kick me out, but once this thing's over, where's my money at?
Mm-hmm.
So once again, to help people out, don't charge them until everything is settled. But that would be to help us out, to help the rich and to make sure they're not messed up. We're still going to get our money. We're just saying you don't have to pay us, and they're going to add interest to that. So it's meant to help the rich.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because not everyone who leases or rents out has multi-dwelling facilities. Some people just rent things out of their homes. It could be a floor, it could be a basement. So those are just regular people, could be middle class people. And who's to say that their tenants now, if they're on unemployment or if their tenants are struggling, what should those type of landlords do? I mean, should they evict? Should they just struggle? Because some people depend on that rent to pay their mortgage.
Right. So they're protected from what I heard. Like I could do a little bit more research. They are actually still protected during things like that, which is great. And I know some people that rent out that they said, look, I know times are hard. They're not charging. You do have some good people, but you have to think like where we're located at in the city. Say, for instance, Co-op City. I'm not talking about people that's renting out one or two homes. Places like Co-op where there's 26 floors, probably like 8 residents to each, 8, living environments for each floor. I don't think those are the people that are going to say, don't pay me. They're going to want their money. So you like, as someone who always plays devil advocate, you're going to have the little exceptions. But the big companies, not the mom and pop stores, the small people renting out one or two like places, those aren't the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about the large scale. They're going to get their money and with interest.
Yeah.
I know some lenders are like, for the mortgages, they're freezing the mortgage, right? So like say if you apply for forbearance or economic hardship, they are freezing the mortgage and adding those months to the end of the mortgage. So you have like a 30-year, 35-year, I'm sorry, 15-year and a 30-year. So like for example, let's say you choose to freeze your mortgage for 3 months. So instead of it being exactly 15 years, it's now a 15-year and 3-month mortgage. So you're
Correct.
paying your mortgage, but just at a different time of the contract kind of thing.
Right. So that helps with the interest rates because it kind of defers the interest to the end of the mortgage period where, you're going to pay the same amount had this not happen and you continued with your 30-year mortgage, but it's now deferred really for 3 months just as like grace period. But you're still going to end up paying the same amount for the same time period. You're just getting a break.
Right. It's kind of like Sally Mae or Navi, but like, hey, we're helping you out. Oh, you really now? So it's all about how you want to sprinkle these words of we still getting our money.
Well, speaking of money and people living for free, how do you guys feel about like dating a person, dating a male or a female who's broke and you gotta foot the bill for everything, foot the rent, the food, pay for everything, cell phone bills? How do you guys feel about those type of people? Because I'm sure, especially now during the pandemic, with people losing jobs or people who didn't have jobs to begin with, and then you have, in relationships, and now I'm sure that's causing a lot of rift and divorces and fights and domestic
There's been a
violence.
large increase to domestic violence, actually, which stinks because everyone's locked in. They can't escape. Like, they're forced. It's,
And child abuse, actually.
yep. It's,
You
and
guys,
I know
mm,
some cases where it's sad, but like I know people that were like the breadwinners that were upset because now they're like, this person wasn't working. He's making more than for work. I'm doing doubles, and they're like, it doesn't make sense for this person's making more than me, and they're getting frustrated.
I mean, I understand there's people who are essential workers working in a hospital that they're making less than the people at home right now. So I understand, people's frustration. But back to broke lovers. Can you have a broke lover, basically? Can you be completely in love with someone, have a relationship with them, but they are not able to financially contribute?
You know what? I remember when I first heard the question, when I thought about it, it depends if they have two things. If they have the motivation to get out of that situation and what caused the situation. Now, if you're someone who like, say if like I was like a school teacher and I just got laid off because like, it was just budget cuts. I got laid off. If we were doing everything fine and then I got laid off, if I'm looking for a job and like, it's only been a month or two, yeah, like, things happen. Like, that's completely understandable. I can't support you now, but I'm trying to get a better job. The situation was out of my hands. Now, say for instance, if I was a school teacher, I came to work drunk like 5 times in a month, got fired, and then I'm like, yo, I'm so depressed, or I don't want to do things and just drink all day. Hey, if you leave me, you could love me for what I used to be. Guess you kicking me the fudge out.
So, okay, let me give you a different scenario, okay? Because I know everyone's different. But let's just say that person got fired, they got laid off, they quit even because, they're having a midlife crisis. Let's just say you were with them for a year and a half or 2 years, and they didn't contribute anything financially to the relationship. Would you still be with that person? That person's great in bed. They're a great partner other ways. You guys vibe together. You guys complement each other. You love each other. Can you be with someone who is not financially contributing to the relationship?
I'll let you take this one over first.
oh, okay. The nice part of me, the nice part of Jen would love to say yes. I would deal with someone, a broke lover, if they loved me and we complement each other. But the realistic Jen is going to say no because it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of financial pressure. Unless if that person is disabled or had some weird accident and just unfortunate beyond their
Situation.
control, that's a different story. But what is stopping that person from working if they weren't working prior to the pandemic? What is stop there's no reason for that person not to work, especially as a female. I don't know about how males would feel because there are some alpha males who like that shit and they just want to dominate in some way, so they figure, okay, if she's at home and I'm the working, let her take care of the kids and let her cook and clean and whatever, and that's it. And she's gonna have to depend on me. But as a female, I don't know if I could do it because I grew up in a household where both my parents contribute to the bills, but I seen my dad do it all, and I don't know. I guess it depends on what you see growing up or how society views the gender roles now. I mean, we all want equality. Women want to be treated the same, but so in that case, both parties should contribute in some way, unless if there's some unforeseen circumstance that's beyond their control, that person's control that's stopping them from working. I don't think I personally can do that anymore. I used to do it and it kind of ends up screwing, you know, these people end up screwing you over because they get too comfortable and they depend on you too much. And it's like, I'm not your mother. Sorry.
Pretty
You know?
much, it's like you're enabling them. It's
Right.
I'm definitely one who's guilty of that, because I had a few relationships, like I've always been the one that overworks, because like that's how I grew up. And in my house, the mom was the breadwinner, but she always cared for everyone and made sure everyone was okay. I'm the one that was always like, whenever I was in relationships, either they would start off with the job or something bad happened. I'm like, okay, well, like, I'll help you get on your feet. Like, we'll make it through this. And then after a while, people get comfortable. Like you said, they get comfortable. They don't want to adjust to anything. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm doing all this work. What are you partaking in? Especially the ones like, you come home tired and like, we're adults, we could all cook, we could all clean, all do laundry. But when I come home after working like 15, 18 hours, and you either worked 4 hours or it was your day off, and like the dishes are filled up, like, the carpet's dirty, it's like, I get there's some days, like you may have a day when you're like, hey, I'm stressed, I had a headache. If that happens for one day, that's fine. It's understandable. But when you go like a week without it, when you notice the constant patterns, it's like, look, I'm not your mom. You're a grown adult. Help clean, help do something if you're not working.
Right.
Look, we have just Raji coming in. I think she's buffering. Hey! So welcome, welcome. So this is just Raji. Say hi.
That's the mom in her.
Sorry. We were just talking about broke lovers. Can you love someone and and your spouse or person cannot contribute financially to the relationship?
It's funny because me and my friend was just having a conversation about that earlier. And I was saying, I think I need my own dating show called For Love or Money, where you date a couple brokies, you date a couple wealthy men, and you see how life really works out. But I did always say, I've always kind of been financially stable on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not married. I don't expect you to pay any of my bills. If we don't live together, I don't expect any money for my household from you. But it is nice for someone to spoil you and to pay a bill.
Yeah.
I have a question for you three ladies. So would you guys feel comfortable, not if he was broke, but would you guys feel comfortable being with somebody who wasn't like close to where you were making at, but was making a larger amount less than you? Like he couldn't like spoil you or anything like that, but he just had enough to pay his bills. How would you ladies feel about that?
I mean, if this was just like a job for the in between, like this wasn't his career where he's going to spend the rest of his life, then, we all have to struggle sometimes, or we all have that in between stage where we're not where we want to be. But if that's just like the cap for you, like that's where your life ends right there, then we can't work out unless you're trying to be like a stay-at-home father or something. We get cheated on.
I'm going to say something. So I think it would be very difficult for me to be with someone who is not as financially on the same level as I am. It would be difficult, but it's not impossible, right? I feel that in a relationship, whatever you're lacking, there's a gain somewhere. So you've ever seen somebody with like a rich husband, but their marriage is miserable. You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa, like the couple is super rich, but they haven't had sex in over a year. So if I am with someone who cannot financially contribute to my life, I want to hope that this person can contribute in a different way. right? Because you can really be with an asshole. I'm just being honest. And they be a millionaire, and you have to ask for $50, or you have to like. There are men out there that keep track of their money, and you have to ask them. They're very old school. Can I get like back in the day? I knew a parents of my friends, and her mother had to ask her father to get money from the account. I mean, that was back in the day, like in the 90s.
Oh, back in the day. Oh,
Like I
thanks for
would,
making us
yeah,
feel
like
young.
yeah, I heard, I would hear it when I was.
That was also back in a time where men led the household. Like the man was the provider, the wife did not work. So realistically, you did have to ask for something because he worked for the money. Not to say that you didn't work for the money, because working in a house, taking care of kids, cleaning, cooking, that is a full-time job. That is a job that doesn't stop. That is not a 9 to 5. I don't think there's a price put on that, but that was something that worked for that house. And also, it is a cultural thing.
Correct. But also, you guys have to remember too, over time, and we all had some form of like college or like, just even in high school, females have predominantly been way, way over, like outsmarting males by far for decades. Like, even I remember when I was going to college, maybe if I was lucky, it was me and 4 other guys, all females in classes. The dudes just went straight to work. They didn't want to like do like, 2 jobs in school or 1 job in school. They were straight for making money, where females always were doing both. I don't know about other countries, but at least in like, the US, females always getting their education, busting it down at home. They're doing everything. That's why y'all are surpassing us guys. We're just like, look, I'm going to talk and you do as I say, but females can back it up.
Can I ask you a
So
question, Thomas?
what's up?
If you had a beautiful girlfriend right now, and you're with her for a long time, she hasn't had a job in about 6 months, let's just say, or at all, but
Don't
had
talk about my ex like that. Oh, I'm sorry, go on.
but had dinner waiting for you, had your house clean, you guys didn't have any kids, laundry done, bedroom done, lips done, butt done.
God.
Who's gonna do all this money?
Would you
That's
still be with her?
So for me, I'm always someone who is either 50-50 or I love spoiling. So for me, if you don't like, if you're like, hey, I'm tired, I don't want to cook today, I'll cook. If you're like, hey, I just like, I just want to relax, can you do the laundry? I can do my laundry. My mom raised me where I could live on my own, which is what I've been pretty much doing the last 2 years. Take care of everything. I'm perfectly capable of it. Now, if I had, like, if I was dating someone and it was 6 months and they were doing stuff at home, as long as she's okay with me working, like, the extra hours to make up for everything and we were financially stable, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But realistically, we both know that in relationships, if you don't have that time together, it starts putting a damper in things. I don't care what relationship you're with. That's where you see all these entanglements coming through. If you don't have that time, if you don't have that time together and like, they start talking to someone else to cover for what you're not doing, it's not going to be that happy wife, happy life. So would I put up with it? If you asked me 5-6 years ago, yes. I'm at the rate now where after like just previous relationships, you could be the most attractive female in the world, but if we're not like on par with the same, or you're at least covering your bills, I'm not going to risk our relationship by overworking because I know where it's going to end.
What about you, ladies?
Okay. So when you say, what about us ladies?
If
Do
a
you
guy, like if a guy,
No, so that was my question. Do you mean I could be the one that's the cleaning and the cooker and
tell me
not work
both
on?
ways. Tell me both ways.
Okay. So I've always worked. So I think it would be hard not to work. Can I be, if we had kids, right, and I made a significant amount more than my partner, and it was convenient for him to take care of the kids while I went to work because I made more money, I could see that being an option. An option. Now, can I be home cooking and cleaning and doing laundry and not working? Maybe for a good month. Maybe. Maybe. But I was never raised like that. So I've always worked. I've always been a go-getter. So realistically, I couldn't do it. If I was raised in a household where I seen that as a norm, sure, I'm cooking, cleaning, and sucking dick on demand. You keep paying those bills and make sure everything I need and want is A-okay, and we got a deal.
What about you, Jen? You had a boyfriend making home cooked dinners, being very super thoughtful. That's, cost effective, right? Because they don't have any money. Treating you like a princess in any way he can that doesn't cost money.
Mhm.
Would you be with that person? What if you had two guys? What if you had somebody in the middle that maybe you weren't too into?
Uh-huh.
Or the completely broke guy that was really hot with a big penis?
Oh,
Why can't I get those?
oh, wow. I I don't know. I wasn't raised like that to stay home. I mean, my mom stayed home with me until I was like 2 or 3, and then she started working. So if I had kids, yeah, I'd stay home. I don't know. Wait, if I had 2 men, one that treated me like a queen, but he had a small penis or something?
No.
Or he
No,
had
I
a big
didn't.
penis? Oh,
No, someone who
right.
treated you like a queen, didn't have any money, but had a big penis.
Oh,
Or would you be with someone who treated you mediocre, had money, contributed financially, with a medium-sized penis?
nope. That second one gotta go because I've had that already. That gotta go.
Wait, first of all, not to cut you off, but the first one is an oxymoron. You can't treat me like a queen and be broke.
Yeah, you can.
Dang,
But you
dang.
can, unless you're being materialistic. You can.
You can.
How?
I
I'm
mean,
curious.
it would
Hold
be
on,
have
I
to. It
gotta
would
ask
have to
this one.
the
How
type.
would you be?
The
I
type
kind of see what she's saying. Like
of
someone who would cook for me, clean for me, massage my feet, run my
suck your
bath.
toes.
Yeah, all of that. Wash my hair, whatever.
A certain
With the
thing.
shampoo that you paying for, with the water bill that you paying for, the rent you paying for. No, I can do that myself. You good?
But
Right.
there
So
are ways to treat somebody like a queen without spending money.
I agree with Jennifer. If we had kids, yes, I can see that happening. But if we have no kids, what is your reason for being home if you're not disabled?
That's what I'm saying.
Yo,
Now,
NBA
if
2K
you
man,
are
they be having them tournaments.
disabled, what did you say, CJ?
NBA 2K be having them tournaments. Shoot, he's trying to be a baller online. See, he's trying to make that money the real way.
But what if
Working on
they're
his
not
rap
at
career.
home? They just have minimum wage jobs, let's say.
Mm.
So if you have a minimum wage job, you're still bringing in some sort of income. So are we living together or we're not living together? Because if we're not living together, I don't expect anything from you. But if we're living together with your minimum wage job at $15 an hour, 35 hours a week, let's hope it's full time, you can pay all the utilities. I would be the big person and pay the rent. Pay all the utilities.
Okay, let's look at it this way. If you couldn't be on a 50-50 level relationship with someone, especially now that we're older, we're all in our 30s, 31,
Yes.
about to be 31. You guys are already there. It's like if you're
Word.
dating someone and they're older than you, I feel that you should be a little bit more financially stable than me because you're older than me. You should have more experience and figure out what you wanted to do with your life. If you're younger than me by a few years, 4, 5, 6 years, I wouldn't expect you to be making as much as me. Like what Taraj said with the minimum wage, pay some utilities. But at the same time, if I'm with someone and they're not contributing in some sort of way, what do I need? Like what Thomas said, what do I need you around for? I can do everything my damn self. Like, what do I need the extra stress of worrying about someone else that's not contributing to my life in any other way? Whether, it could, like you said, Jasmine, it could be one thing where they have good dick, or they
Yeah.
massage your feet, or they just cook good. And that's about it. But I can cook, I can clean. I don't need to be entangled with someone just for some good dick. I'll be all right. I could, be stuck in something just for that. So it's like now looking at relationships, it's now where we're looking to date to potentially marry, or potentially we see ourselves with this person long term. Especially if you want to go into a deeper relationship. If you just want to fuck around, then that's completely different. But now in a dating scene, it's like, why would I want to deal with someone who's still stuck at the minimum wage level? Not to knock anyone who's at the minimum wage level. It's just me personally where I am. Like you said, Jasmine, you need someone somewhere on your level somewhere. Because a lot of people, what I've noticed, especially experienced myself personally, is that they'll see you up and coming and like go-getters. You guys do overtime a lot. You guys bring in as much money as you possibly can. I'm here busting my ass trying to do what I got to do. We're all hustlers. But someone else on the outside would see that and try to manipulate their way in, and could look like the most perfect person in the beginning, but really just wants to reap the benefits of our hard work.
And I am nobody's sugar mama. Mm-mm.
So I'm gonna tell you,
I am a
ladies,
sugar
something.
baby. I am not a sugar mama.
I want to tell you, ladies, something, and I know like you guys are all of that age and you guys can relate. So I feel more so like when we're in our late teens and early 20s, we date and do everything because it's like, oh, this is fun, it's exploration. That would be the time we would be with somebody just to say, okay, well, yeah, you don't have the money, that's fine, I just want to be with you. I'm sensing now what a lot of people are doing is they just want to fill up that social expectation. Well, like if you're like 30 or 35, hey, you should be married by now. You should have kids by now. So many people are trying to fit that social expectation. They're doing things just to please other people. Like I know some people that are in relationships and they're married with kids and they're miserable every day, but hey, I got to be on Facebook. Oh, look at my kids. Yay. First time to the doctor. Look at, and like they got to post every fucking thing that they do. It's like, no one cares that much. Like, but I
People
feel like
are proud
a
of
lot
their
of,
accomplishments.
like
They are
everyone's
proud of their accomplishments. You can't knock them because they want to show their little ugly baby every day on Facebook. Because them babies be ugly sometimes. But that's not
Yo, that's true. A lot of
and
things be on Facebook, for real, for real. I'm not gonna name nobody's names. Not you, Jasmine, but oh Lord Jesus.
With the
I
ugly
remember
babies?
somebody posted a child up and they're like, I thought that was a Chucky doll, LOL. I'm like, damn.
Oh
Well,
my gosh. That's
that was
horrible.
Now, let me tell you, a lot of people, they like you said, they're in miserable relationships, but kids are a blessing and whatever. So they'll look at that kid and like, okay, this is the best I can do. This is the only good thing that came out of this. So this is my accomplishment. And I'm like,
mhm.
a kid is not an accomplishment. I hate when people say that shit.
Right. Like,
I
hey,
hate
you got your
that.
degree, you got a raise at work. Those are
I
accomplishments.
think it depends on your goals. Kids can be an accomplishment if your goal
Right.
is to be a housewife raising a family, or not even a housewife, but someone who desires to have kids. Like that could be an accomplishment. Or maybe someone who was told they can't have kids. That can be an accomplishment. So
Yeah.
in that respect, I get it. But to have a child to prove to other people that yes, I'm with this person, or yes, like I understand what you're saying, Jennifer. Like some people have a child to prove a point to other people. Like, yes, this is my man, so I'm gonna have his baby. I guess he was fucking y'all bitches, but then y'all got his baby. I'm the baby mama. All of
Flavor,
that other
flavor. Oh, I'm sorry.
grabby,
Flavor of love, you
grabby,
know.
grabby shit. Like that is not an accomplishment. Like that is what grinds my gears. Fuck out of here. I had his first baby. Okay, but he's on baby number 4 now. So what does that mean?
Hey, he
Exactly.
likes even numbers. That's all it means. Look, I gave him that even number child he wanted. That's all it means.
They on
Like,
a raging. I hit it first.
there you go.
Cool beans. If that's it, because you're just making yourself look stupid.
It's it's like, or I'll give you a perfect example. Way back when I'm trying to remember her name, but I was dating somebody,
Uh-oh,
and
she can't remember your name, homegirl.
dang, there you go, putting her on blast. But no, we had a conversation. It was like a 10-minute conversation, and I knew this relationship was going nowhere because I was like, I'm going to college right now. I'm doing this. And I was like, yeah, so what do you want to do? And she was like, oh, I don't know. And she was like a year or two younger than me. So I'm like, well, like, where do you see yourself? Like, what kind of job do you have? Oh, well, my mom was just a secretary, so I just want to be a secretary. Okay. And then what do you want to do? Like, do you want to go on vacation anywhere? Do you want to, like, what's your dreams? Oh, I just want to have a kid, then stay at home. And while that was great for her at the time, and I'm sure she probably is doing that life now, I didn't want that in my life. I'm like, yeah, like I want kids and everything, but I want someone who's like motivated. I don't want to be home and like, hey, what did you do all day? Oh, I cleaned and I cooked. No, like tell me about your day. Tell me that like, you wanted to strangle somebody at work because you want to do this. They didn't listen to you. Like, I want to know that like, hey, you have dreams. You're not just waiting for me to come home.
Well,
I could have gotten a puppy for that case to not work and just wait all day.
technically, Thomas, she was motivated. She was motivated to find a man who was going to get her pregnant and take care of her so she can stay at home and raise the baby. So her motivation was not the same as yours, but
Right.
she was motivated.
And there you go. And that's why I told her, more power to her if that's her case. I'm not about that life. I'm sorry.
So I think that goes to say like a lot of things comes from people's perspective. From
Mm-hmm.
us, we're hard workers. Like our motivation is a little different. So we're very much go-getters. So for people whose motivation may be more, I want to stay at home, I want to build a family, that's like a foreign language to us. And we just feel like it's something wrong with them. And in the same respect, they're on the other side, like, yo, what is wrong with those people? They just want to go to work all day. Like,
Right. I would hate when I would get people and they're like, oh, that's so boring. Why are you always such a realist for? Why don't you just, I'm like, well, no, I want to go to work and then earn something by working. That makes me feel accomplished because I worked hard and I earned something. You could do that next year. Why don't you? I'm like, no, like life is more about just like partying and like what girl you slept with and oh, I went to this bar and I drank this and smoked that. Like, no, like I want to reach goals and aspirations.
So raise your hand if you would be with a person who's broke. I would.
Oh, I'm glad we got one person.
I've been there and I've done that.
I've
Yep.
been doing that too. So
Been
that's why
there, done that.
I am good. Okay.
Nope.
Maybe I'm being optimistic because I have not been there and I have not done that. So I'm
That's
just probably
exactly
being
why.
like a blind romance.
Right. But I've been in that situation before. Like I've dealt with somebody who made a significant or less amount of money for me than me, but he did try to compensate. Like if it's the weekend, like he'll just get up and take my car to go get washed, or he'll do the laundry, make sure the room is clean, like do dishes and things of that nature. Like if he did come into a little bit of money, he would, here here you go. And it was very much appreciated. But when it came time to really making plans, like Thomas said, and wanting to do things, it was always, I don't have it right now. I don't have it right now. And it got to be a little annoying.
I mean,
You
it is.
wonder,
I get what you're saying, Taraj. I don't mean to interrupt.
no,
I've been there, done that. Like you said, we've all been in that struggle situation, that point, and I've been there personally. Like in between college and grad school, I was working, not really minimum wage or just above it, but I was still in a relationship. I was still able to maintain my own bills. I was still able to go out. I was still able to go on vacations with that little bit of money, but it's how you manage your money, right? So,
Correct.
and it's your motivation. And that wasn't my only job. Like, I mean, I've known all four of you for so long. I'm sure all of us, I mean, including myself, we've been working from a young age, so we're
Yeah.
not used to just sitting at home and not really doing anything, or going out there and trying to accomplish something or get something done, or you know work for our own money and not just sit there and expect someone else to to spend the money on us. Well, I mean, we're different people, but there are people out there, there are men, there are women out there who that's their only goal, is to find someone who they can just smooch off of.
Yep. And to pretty much follow up on what you said there, like Jen, we've all known each other for a long time. We've all been working hard, busting for stuff. It's different where if you're going to school and then you're saying, hey, I could only work this. I would not take that away because you're working on bettering yourself. That's what we're talking about. You have motivation. You're doing something. But yeah, if I come home and like you were home all day, you didn't do anything, like I'll understand like, hey, you had one rough day. But I've had rough days too, and I had to do my shit. You could only have excuses for so long. If you're like, hey, I want to go out with my friends, I want to go out and party, we can do that. But if I'm like, hey, we need to pay the rent, we need to pay electric. If you're not worried about that, you're just worried about partying or having fun, you're not helping me out.
Right.
You could live the best life, but if you're not paying your bills, you're not going to be doing it with the lights on.
You don't need the lights.
Ooh. That's a topic for another day.
Well, prenup is real too, so I mean, I guess you're right. But yeah, moving on to.
So I think we finished up. We spoke about stimulus, how we need more money, right? Unemployment, how there's some people gaining unemployment, making more money at home. There's some people who are essential workers that are making less than the people at home. And there's just some of us that are in between both worlds. Before we wrap this up, I just wanted to know what are your thoughts on the DMX and Snoop Dogg versus. Yo. Okay, everybody who's 31 or 30 years old, Snoop Dogg and DMX was their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
My, have we fallen from grace? We went from people finding out who's gonna go to jail versus who got purple hair and who snitched out someone else.
I was listening to the verses and I forgot, you know how like you don't listen to a song often, like Snoop Dogg pulled one out of his pocket and he was rapping so clearly, like you understood every word that he said, except for his izzles and stuff, but like his verses, he like literally pronounced them all. Like rap is not like that at all. Like today, it's not like that.
It's more about the beast. It's all about the beat and the hook line now. Before it was about the lyrics and the message.
I've always said that growing up, the music, no matter what genre it was all about, it was like mediocre beats. There were some good beats, but the lyrics were on point. Now, the beats are fire, but these lyrics are like, what the fuck is this shit?
Like perfect example, NWA. Eazy-E was not the best rapper in the world. Oh dear God, he was overrated, but the stuff they talked about was great. That's what made him memorable. Now it's like, how fast can you rap, and is the beat okay? Like we still have Eminem, so we have someone, but other than that, now our rap is trash. Like,
You know, I
First
don't
of
want to.
all,
Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
who doesn't appreciate a good city girl pussy talk song? I personally think they're phenomenal. Look at pussy talk. Euros, dollars, and yen. I mean, hello. I mean, who doesn't want to hear that all day? And
I
I say
mean,
that in a most sarcastic way.
We never had pussy songs back then. Nobody cared
we
about
had
our pussy. Like
Yes, we
nobody
did.
we
cared
had
about
Missy
our point
Elliott.
Yes,
of
we
view.
did.
We had Missy Elliott. You had
Kim.
Oh yeah, little Kim,
Little Kim, Missy Elliott. I mean,
Foxy
to a little bit,
Brown.
yes.
Yes. Little Kim had a song, I Don't Want Dick Tonight, Eat My Pussy Right. Was I the only one who listened to that?
Salt,
Because
and
that
even
was my favorite
salt
song.
and pepper to a lesser extent.
What
Yeah.
about Tootsie Roll? Wait, no. Yes, didn't Lil Kim have a song saying "lick my to the center" or something with
Oh,
Cisco?
yeah.
Remember when that song came out? I was like
How
all
many
open.
legs?
My eyes was open. Like what? Lick
Like,
the center?
You
Yes.
guys,
What?
you guys don't remember TLC's I Don't Want No Scrubs? That was like literally like, come on, y'all girls had y'all representatives. Y'all had y'all.
Well,
Don't be-
well, obviously, we wasn't listening to her because after the song came out, Jen had a broke nigga, I had a broke nigga. So we wasn't really paying attention. So we don't want no scrubs. We was just singing the words. We wasn't
Because
taking them
Chris
to heart.
Brown ruined that for y'all. Chris Brown ruined y'all minds. Y'all started listening to him, see? Remember, don't listen to singers named after Brown. Bobby, Chris, it's a Brown thing. Can't be listening to
I can't.
him.
Who do you think won that
But
battle?
DMX.
You think so? What about you, Taraj?
I think that Snoop Dogg was so entertaining. And it was so sad watching DMX when you really think about where he was back in like the Rough Rider days. Drugs did him so bad.
But
And
I
I
think
feel
he
so
looked very
sorry for
healthy
people.
though. He
He
was
Yes, he was
looked
so
chunky.
talented.
about, what is it, 3, 4 years ago, Jasmine and I were at the Rough Riders reunion concert.
Mhm.
And that's when he had to check himself into rehab the next day. He went on a whole rampage. What did he say? A rant like,
Was like talking about pussy and God in one sentence. He was very confused. He would like rant about that, then he would go to God, then he'll rant back about the pussy, and then like it was
he was
very.
made pussy.
Well,
That's
just to put this plug in here, I don't know if I ever told y'all, but this is a real website. If you put in isdmxinjail.com, it's a legitimate website and they update it every like, I think it's like every like 20 hours. But my friend told me that. I'm like, there's no way. And it'll be like, no, he just got out of the grocery store. Nope, he just got released out of the hospital. He's on probation.
I think DMX yesterday looked real healthy though.
he did.
He looked,
I don't know. He was real twitchy. Maybe because I've been around people who've been on drugs, like a lot of hard drugs. He was coming off a little skittish to me. Like, like Snoop was laid back. That's that weed and that's that mellow. He was on the
But Snoop Dogg
mellow.
looks like he's like 80 pounds. Like Snoop Dogg never looked healthy. So compared to Skeletor, I mean, DMX is looking, like
No, I mean, in terms of hypeness and like, entertaining, Snoop took that, but Snoop, didn't play some of his hits. So it
He
was like,
did.
he didn't play some of them. There was some that were out, and then DMX went in. So music wise, I think DMX won, but just visually, Snoop was winning.
this is what a lot of us aren't even thinking about. I always see Snoop and still see Snoop. DMX, like unless it's a picture of him in jail or in court, I haven't seen him in years. So Snoop entertained me because I'm used to him. DMX, I don't know if it was because it was a breath of fresh air, like, oh, he can still go, or if it was because he was better. So Snoop definitely entertained. I would say maybe it's a tie between them. Because DMX, he was good, but I haven't heard from him in so long. So it's like, hey, just on that one event, he was good, but Snoop's still been out. Like Snoop never really left.
I think DMX came a long way from that last concert I was. I was really shocked that he was very concentrated. He was on focus. I also think he was a little nervous because he's in sobriety. He's going through sobriety right now. So being around Snoop and Ciroc and things like that I felt he was a little nervous.
But listen to the stuff though. That's like, oh man, well, hey, this guy, he didn't come in first place. Like he ran a race and he came in 12th place out of 14. But before he started running the race and he broke his foot and he couldn't beat the race. So yeah, he did a real good job. Like, yeah, you're gonna be better if you're like, if you're drugged up, of course you're gonna be better. And we haven't seen him in years. Like he wasn't bad.
Like Jazz said, it was because he's in sobriety, being exposed to weed and alcohol, like just around it and not being able to partake in it. For
And
someone
Snoop
like
isn't?
him.
And Snoop Dogg isn't?
No.
Snoop smokes all the time on stage. Like,
No,
Right,
but I'm
so
saying
he's not
DMX,
in sobriety is what they're saying.
DMX is in a sobriety. He went through rehab. He's not smoking or drinking. So to be exposed by Ciroc,
Allegedly.
right.
yeah.
And he's on parole.
Yeah, he's
Right.
jittery.
Well,
I would
isn't he on parole? But
I mean, I would be jittery too. I mean, we gotta give it up to DMX for making the
definitely.
comeback. But Snoop Dogg was definitely the entertainer, and DMX went hard. I feel like Snoop Dogg took it a little easy on DMX because he knew that he had a lot more songs than him. So I felt like Snoop Dogg let him get some points there.
DMX is like the modern day MC Hammer right now. He's like, man, this better work because I need some money, man. I need a job. Yo, someone got to pay for me. Snoop Dogg's like, as long as I could afford my weed, I'm good.
I think they should have a podcast. Can you imagine like a Snoop Dogg and DMX podcast called The Kennel? Like, that would be that would be so dope.
The Dog Pound.
The Dog Pound, The Kennel, something.
Yo, we better put patents on this. If they I'd be hyped.
All right, that idea is officially patented by Honest as Fuck.
Word.
Would you listen to it? Would you listen to DMX and Snoop Dogg talk?
Depends, stoned or not stoned.
I guess Snoop Dogg would be his Snoop Dogg self, and DMX would be his DMX self.
He was born high.
That's how he keeps in shape. Because I mean, dang, this dude, if he's over 100 pounds, I would be surprised.
All right, guys.
All right, so we are done for the night. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. See you next week.
Deuces, y'all.